All right, so this is an overview for our second presentation. I call this the Blast from the Past presentation. For the second presentation for English 165, this is a research-based presentation. So our first presentation is an informative presentation, a procedural presentation. This presentation is about presenting researched information. What I'd like for you to do for this presentation is to select a historical figure to research. And this historical figure needs to be connected in some way to either your current field of study or your intended career. I'd like to do this presentation. I like to do this kind of idea of researching a historical figure because this is something that comes up often in interviews. Why are you interested in this field? What got you to this area of interest? And for many of us, we are inspired by someone either in our personal life or someone that we've read about or learned about to go into a certain field. I bet we can all think back to somebody who inspired us or intrigued us and kind of helped us get into our area of study. So, for example, I'm an English teacher, I love literature, and I can think back to several writers, several poets specifically, because I'm a poet, who really inspired me to learn about literature, to learn about writing, to understand the importance of communication. My interest in those people, the inspiration I got from those people, is what led me to studying English in college, which is what led me into the classroom, which is what brought me here today. So for my sample presentation that you'll see on D2L, I picked a literary figure. I picked a poet who was really inspirational to me, not only in my own writing, but as somebody who helped inspire me to go into the classroom. I also really like the figure I picked. I chose Sylvia Plath because she inspired me professionally, but she was also an incredible advocate for mental health awareness, which is a topic I am passionate about, and it's a topic that comes up often in the education field. So Sylvia Plath for me was somebody who is inspirational in many ways. So for this presentation, there's a couple of things you're going to need to do. You'll need to identify the person you've selected. You're going to present factual information about the person's biography, and this is where your research is going to be coming in. So you're going to want to take us through their personal life, who they were. Let us get to know them a little bit. And you're going to go into their career as well. From there, you're going to discuss the relevance of that person to your career or your current field of study. This is where you'll go into the impact that this person has had on not only you, but on your field as well. And I want you specifically to discuss the influence or the contributions that your person has made to the field, to the career. So this presentation has really two avenues you have to explore. The first being the biographical, and then the second side is the influence that person has had. You can select a historical figure from any time period, from any culture, but again, your figure has to have a connection to your area of study. I can't tell you guys how many times I've been in interviews where, people have asked, why are you interested in this field? How did you get interested in this field? Do you have a favorite author as an English person? That comes up a lot. So again, the goal of this presentation is to give you a talking point for a future interview, but also an opportunity to explore someone who has inspired you, who maybe inspires others in your field. How that person's connected to your field can be interpreted in a variety of ways. Okay, so I've given you my example of Sylvia Plath. I've included on the handout here an example about Hedy Lamarr. Hedy Lamarr was a famous Hollywood starlet. She was absolutely gorgeous person, big time celebrity. Most people don't realize, though, that she was also a brilliant woman. And she helped create the radio guidance system for Allied torpedoes during World War II. Y'all, her contributions to technology, to science developed, to mathematics, have led to modern Wi-Fi capabilities. Okay, most people don't realize that. They think about her as just being an actress or a starlet, but she's somebody who changed the scientific world in the 1940s and 1950s in such a fundamental and incredible way. So again, that could be a fascinating talking point. It's an amazing thing to learn about, that people can have that kind of change or that kind of influence. So I've given you some ideas here, and I broke them down into different categories. So I've got advanced manufacturing, industrial technology, business people, computing and engineering ideas, a bunch of people about education, health sciences, if you're interested in the health field, horticulturists, and you're not limited to this list. Okay, so if you find somebody else, if you already have somebody in mind, run it by me. Okay, let me do some research too, see if that's somebody there's going to be enough information about. But again, you're not limited to this list. This presentation is going to be 5 to 7 minutes, right? So our first presentation was a little bit shorter, second presentation is a little bit longer, third presentation will be the longest that we do. With this presentation, you need at least 4 to 6 slides. Okay, so again, we're scaffolding from the first presentation to the second presentation. Our first presentation was informative, strictly informative. This one is both informative and research. Our next one will be informative, research, and synthesis or application. The other part of this presentation is a memo summary of your presentation. This needs to be a 2-page memo style summary. I've provided you with the memo template, so you can use that again. Remember, memos that go onto the second page do include a summary at the top, and you can look at I've posted an example of that. So we'll go over more of that in the memo video. You can go back and look at that. But you do need to have that 2-page memo style summary. It doesn't have to be the bottom of the second page. Try to do about a page and a half. Get on that second page for me. Okay, the idea here is that we're going to have that summary on page 1 and then an extended written summary of your presentation. And when you look at mine about Sylvia Plath, you'll see that I quite literally, as I was practicing my presentation, I typed it up. Okay, so I walked through my presentation, typed up my memo as I was doing that. Your PowerPoint does need to be in MLA format. You do need to have citations for your pictures, in-text citations for specific information and quotes, and you do need to include a final slide with your work cited. Again, just like every presentation, weapons, tobacco, alcohol, drugs, animal, and children are not allowed as visual aids in your presentation, and every student needs to pick a different topic for their speech. So make sure you post your topic on the D2L board, and just like we did with presentation 1, the student who claims that topic first gets it. We don't want to have duplicates. If somebody, for some reason, we end up with duplicated presentations on presentation day, let's say we have 3 or 4 people who pick the same person, which I think is really unlikely. The people who did not post that, who did not claim that on the D2L discussion board, will lose points off their presentation. We don't want to sit through, 5 presentations about the same person. We want to learn about different people. So please make sure you're posting on D2L who you would like to research. Take a look at my sample. I have a sample PowerPoint. I have a sample memo. I included an old sample memo from a different project that we used to do for presentation 2 that you can look at as well. And let me know if you have any questions.